All right, let's go take two. I'm filming a video and like 5 minutes in, like the video freezes, and I'm like, God Almighty, do I really want to, like, after 3 hours of sleep, do another video and tape? But I figured, you know what? What the heck, right? We're gonna do a little bit of a recap from day one. We're gonna look ahead to day two, which is Friday, July 1. Happy July 1. It is actually the month of my birthday, July 9th. If you ever want to send me any gifts or thank yous or hello or whatever you want to do, a wild Thursday, June 30th. Free agency is crazy as is, right? When you're trying to navigate everything that's going on and signings and maybe some trades. But when you get a Kevin Durant trade bomb at basically 3 o'clock before everything, it throws in a mad scramble. And I mean, if you would have seen the scene here in Bristol, and certainly in Los Angeles, where the NBA Today is being filmed, that show was supposed to go on at 4:30. The scramble to get everyone on at 3:30 and basically put on 5.5 hours of live TV was incredible. And I thought the show was awesome. I think it was probably the best show that we've put together the whole year, because it was so unscripted and it was authentic and people had fun, and I had fun at the touchscreen when you're talking about math, and you just kind of go with it here. And I texted with Malik Andrews last night, and I said to her, like, I know we're not TNT, right? We're not Ernie Johnson. Those guys are the gold standards here. So I was like, but last night was pretty damn close as far as how well everyone did here. So it was a wild night. I will talk about Durant. When I look at some of these signings, a lot of guys came off the boards. Some of the teams that I certainly like what they did. I think Philly so far is the winner of free agency. When you can get PJ Tucker and you can get Daniel House, and then you get Harden on a lower contract here, that is a huge coup, because if Harden opts in, you don't get PJ Tucker, you don't get Daniel House. Maybe you get Daniel House for part of the tax mid-level exception here, but Philly right now is the leader in the clubhouse just based on what they were able to accomplish. And of course, you need Harden to be back to playing at a high level. I liked what Toronto did with Boucher and Thad Young. We'll talk about them in a minute. With Kevin Durant, don't mind my bald head. I have a bingo card here with all my notes and stuff like that. Certainly the Wizards, I always want to say Washington, but then Malika always teases me about it. Beal, 5 for 251. It's a monster number. I get it, but what are your options here? DeLon Wright, underrated signing. You already did the Monty Morris and Will Barton trade. I liked what they were able to do. Milwaukee, Joe Ingles, if he's healthy, you bring back Bobby Portis. Clippers depth, Amir Coffey, Nick Batum. I mean, the list of guys, can go on and on. Tyus Jones, important, an insurance policy in Memphis, 2 for 30, highest paid backup in the league, and I know he wants to eventually start, but right now it's a good value. Brooklyn bringing back Patty Mills, Nick Claxton, the Royce O'Neal trade. The timing of the Royce O'Neal trade is like Durant asked to be traded. They trade a first for Royce O'Neal, and you're like, well, wait a minute, shouldn't you have preserved that first? And sometimes it's just about timing as far as how things go here. Portland, Simons and Gary Payton. So those are some of the big numbers that have come off. We certainly saw the extensions for John Morant, 4 for 193. Towns, Booker, Jokic, max, super maxes, they cannot be traded for a full year. All right, so that leads us to Mr. Kevin Durant, right? Asked to be traded. Phoenix, Miami, some of those other teams. He's got a no-trade clause. $44 million, has 4 years, $198 million left on his contract. You have to get within $36, $37 million to get a deal done. That's a challenge. I said yesterday the haul will be unprecedented, similar to probably with Paul George. I still believe that. But there are a lot of obstacles for this to get done. The first obstacle is a player on your roster that didn't play in a game last year in Ben Simmons. Because when Ben Simmons was acquired by the Nets, he had signed a designated rookie extension with Philadelphia. Okay? The rules are that you can have 2 designated rookie extension players on your roster. So Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., you're allowed to do that. Guys that you drafted, your own guys. You cannot have two that were acquired in a trade. So when you look at Ben Simmons and Bam Adebayo, certainly Devin Booker's off the board because he signed that Supermax. Donovan Mitchell, De'Aaron Fox, Jason Tatum, Luka, Trae Young. I tweeted it last night. There's like 13 players. As long as Ben Simmons is on your roster, you cannot go out and acquire one of those players. So basically that's half of the 25 under 25 best players that are out there that you would want to go and build. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, certainly another name. So that presents its challenge, right? So then you go down through the list of teams. Miami, okay. Do you reroute Bam somewhere and get something else? Do you reroute Ben Simmons somewhere and get something else? Phoenix, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, draft picks. DeAndre Ayton is another issue because of Brooklyn is over the hard cap. It has not triggered, so you cannot do an Ayton sign-in trade unless Kyrie Irving, and that's another issue, is off the roster. So maybe you get a third team involved with Ayton that goes somewhere else, maybe Indiana, and you get Miles Turner back, for example, who's got a year left on his contract, and draft picks, and Bridges and Turner for Durant, and all 5 draft picks, let's say. Could that be a possibility? You're going to have to get a third team involved, as I'm telling you. The only team that you could basically go out and do a straight deal with here is Toronto. And I think when you look at the Raptors, like, what's the value of what is Scotty Barnes off the table? Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Gary Trent, Fred VanVleet. You go down a list of players. Give me 2 of those. Give me 3 of those. Draft picks. They have all their draft picks. So remember, you got to get the $36, $37 million here. So you go through there. And I think when I said, like, yeah, all 29 teams are out there that can make deals, except for the Knicks. And I hate to rag on Knicks fans, but trust me, I've worked in New Jersey and Brooklyn for 20 years. There's no way in hell that Kevin Durant is getting traded to the Knicks. And then you got to live with him in your backyard for 4 more years. I don't care if they offered you 10 first-round picks. That ain't happening here. So that is going out the window there. So, Milwaukee can't do a deal. I don't think Memphis would trade you Desmond. Have enough to get a deal done. The Clippers, certainly not. The Lakers, you're not trading Kevin Durant for Anthony Davis, right? That doesn't fit within. You're trying to get draft picks and a 1 or 2 young players to continually to try to build this around. So the Simmons issue is a problem because of designated rookie extension. The $44 million number is a problem because you got to put $36 million in contracts. San Antonio could be a third team. They're sitting on $37 million in room here. Phoenix is an issue because of Ayton. As far as base year, we haven't even gotten that. Go back and watch the video. And basically, the Nets cannot take him and Bridges for Durant because they would trigger the hard cap, and they're already $23 million over. So you got to go out and find a third team. Brooklyn's not going to trade him to Philly for Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle and Tobias Harris and basically stare at him down the turnpike for a year and a half, for 4 years. I mean, that's not going to happen here. So he's got a tremendous. In Golden State, you can't trade him for Andrew Wiggins. You can't trade Kevin Durant for Andrew Wiggins and Jordan Poole and Kuminga and all those guys because Andrew Wiggins was signed with a designated rookie extension here. So your options start getting limited. Can you trade him to Boston for Jaylen Brown and draft picks and other players here? Maybe you get a third team involved. Yeah, you got Brown for 2 years, and then he's going to be an unrestricted free agent here. So we have the tradable article up as far as who can be traded and the picks and everything like that. So you get into this process of elimination. Now for Mr. Kyrie Irving, right? At the end of the day, the best thing for Brooklyn would have been if Irving opted out, and now you don't even have to worry about him. So for me, what I'm doing is I'm going to the Lakers, and I'm asking for Russell Westbrook and 2 first-round picks, and let's just call it a day, right? It doesn't work right now. Irving 39 for 47, but here's the but. Kyrie's got a trade kicker in his contract. It's worth $5 million. You add the trade kicker to the contract, and Westbrook for Irving works, okay? Add the 2 picks. Let's just call it a day here. You figure out what you do with Westbrook. Maybe you just keep him for the year. Maybe you just don't. Maybe you just let him play with all these young players. That's when he's at his best here. The hard part with Irving is, where do you trade him and not have to take back contracts that go into next year? Because if you're trying to keep your cap flexibility, Norman Powell and Robert Covington and Luke Kennard doesn't make sense for you here, right? That doesn't do much for you here, because you're going into next year, and then you kind of just go into the process of elimination. You're not trading them to New York. They just got Jalen Brunson. Dallas, does Bertans and Dinwiddie do anything for you, and a first-round pick? For me, maybe, if that's kind of where you're at, and Dinwiddie's got another year and a partial. So that's the process of elimination there for Kyrie Irving. So it's complicated. It's math. I'm tired. It's fun. But Brooklyn's got, I said on the Ryan Russillo podcast, the best thing for Brooklyn was Armageddon and just blowing this thing up, because you would have entered next year basically in this quagmire over your head as far as when the next sign of adversity was going to come. And now we know adversity has come, right? I feel like I'm preaching right now. Adversity has come. Now you have a chance to kind of like give it a clean slate here. So we talked Durant. We talked about the free agents here. We've got a bunch still. I have the free agent projections on ESPN.com. You can go look at that. Danilo Gallinari is probably one of the top forwards. A ton of centers. Certainly Ayton is available. Nurkic, Looney, Jalen Smith. A lot of guys came off the board. Colin Sexton, DiVincenzo, Bruce Brown, Nets, Bruce Brown. So that's my 12-minute video on 3 minutes sleep in my favorite studio with the NFL shield behind me. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.